Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Astronaut. I am really excited about this deck profile and video today. We are going over an Arceus Rayquaza deck that has been placing all right in some recent online tournaments, and I just was so intrigued I wanted to check it out. Rayquaza is one of my favorite Pokemon, and I think the VMAX has always been really interesting, but it just never really saw its day. But this is a crazy statted card. 320 HP, no weakness, 2 retreats fine, has the ability Azure Pulse. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 3 cards. So some extra boost in consistency there. But it's really here to just blow up everything with the max burst attack. You can discard as many fire or lightning, in this case we're playing fire, as many fire energy as you like, and it does 80 damage for each card you discarded in this way. So let's check out the rest of the list. We are pairing it with Arceus V-STAR. I'm sure all of y'all are familiar with this. It won Worlds. It might win Worlds again. But the other key card, the other key attackers here, we have Radiant Heatran, which does 70 damage for each damage counter on Radiant Heatran. And we can set that up with Magma Basin, which adds damage counters. We also have one copy of Delphox V, which lets us snipe Pokemon on the bench. And a lot of people forget about this card, and so they may not bench Manaphy against you, thinking it's an Arceus deck. They're not going to hit me on the bench, but you can totally snipe with Magical Fire. It comes in handy in a lot of matchups. And of course, we are also playing Armarouge, but it has the Fire Off ability, which lets you move fire energy from your bench to your active. And it just basically means that whatever we're attacking with, we can flood energy onto the attacker. It allows us a lot more flexibility. It's a really nice feature to have. The rest of the list is pretty straightforward. I'll just scroll through it here. Things to note, we're playing 3 copies of Magma Basin to accelerate fire energy, 1 copy of Path to the Peak to shut off abilities, but hopefully after we Starbirth. We're playing 1 Cheren's Care and 3 Iono, and that's about it. So with that, let's just jump into the games. Alright, game 1, we're starting with Charcadet, and going up against Blossom Giratina, or Arctina, but we're starting off with an Ultra Ball. Just want to get an Arceus down turn 1. I think probably it's okay to get rid of the Choice Belt. I did some math a bit incorrectly, I think. I'm not sure the Choice Belt is ever really going to be needed, unless I can attach it to the Rayquaza VMAX, but probably better to keep the Iono. Either way, I got my Arceus turn 1, I got my energy. What more do you need? And so they are going to go ahead and hit that Battle VIP pass, switch card into the Comfy, and just start building up their Lost Zone cards. Our turn 2 is pretty well set up. We have Arceus, we have Iono, and then we can Starbirth for a switch and a double turbo energy if needed, but we'll see what we get off this Iono. We just need those 2 cards plus an attacker to accelerate energy. Research is nice too, but they have 10 cards in hand. I definitely want to Iono. Okay, perfect. We got a backup attacker. We have another Nest Ball if we want it. Yeah, no harm in benching both, I think. And then Starbirth, go get the Switch Double Turbo, and start attacking with Trinity Nova. Put some pressure on this Giratina. They are going to struggle to knock us out unless they can really push hard on the Giratina like this next turn. But they don't have very many in the Lost Zone because they had kind of a slow start. Means that we just start to get a bit ahead of the pace here. So they only have 3 in the Lost Zone. Now it'll be up to 5 after this Colress. What I'm worried about is if they're able to hit 7 and get the VMAX, but doesn't or sorry, the V-Star and knock us out, but it doesn't look like they are doing that. So they're gonna comfy get up to 6 in the Lost Zone, and then on our turn, we have Ultra Ball for probably the Rayquaza VMAX. We can attach this energy and then Iono. Arceus kind of benefits from just being a big, tanky attacker. Off the rope, I think I promote Charcadet, right? Charcadet seems like the right choice here. Because I have the energy in hand to retreat it, and if they Cramomatic, or not Cramomatic, Cramorant to knock it out, that's okay too. But it seems like they're probably just going to Abyss Seek again. That's great for me because it means I don't need boss, I don't need anything, I just have the energy. Or V-Star. Let's go get that Rayquaza, protect it, and force them to use their V-Star attack if they want to knock out the Rayquaza. And we're looking pretty good here, so we can just retreat from this Charcadet back into the Arceus and evolve into Armarouge. I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced, but either way, we're taking the knockout. We're gonna accelerate some energy. I think it's fine to put this wherever on the board because we have the Armarouge in play that we can move fires to that VMAX. So I like spreading out these energy a little bit. I think 3 on the VMAX is fine, but I like 2 on the basic V just in case they somehow get like a boss plus KO their V-Star attack. It means that we're still in range of hitting for some serious damage. So they're gonna Colress. Getting rid of a V-Star, that means they have it in hand. Or they just got really good cards off of that Flower Select. Or off of that Colress. But now Flower Selecting. They're up to 11 in the Lost Zone, which is scary. It means that my VMAX is not safe. But I mean, on our turn, we have a boss. I don't think there's really anything else that we need, so I'm going to promote the Rayquaza V because the V has enough energy to retreat, and I noticed that if I promoted the Charcadet, I mean, I'm probably giving up a prize to Cramorant at that point, but we have the boss, we have the knockout, and they actually just end up conceding. But we had that game in the bag since all we needed was boss knockout with the Rayquaza VMAX, and we're down to 2 prizes. They have nothing on the board that can threaten us. So we're moving on to match number 2. And I think starting with Radiant fine. Especially if we're going second. I mean, either way, it gives away what we're playing, but starting with the single prize attacker feels a little better just because if they knock it out, I can always Super Rod it back, but they're only taking 1 prize off of the heat. And we're up against another Lost Box deck, so let's see if this one's Tina or if it's just the more standard, like Turbo Lost Zone. They're getting their whole board set up. 3 Comfies, Cramorant, Greninja, feeling good. But on our turn, I mean, I guess we could actually just forego the Arceus and try and hit with this Heatran turn 1. Oh, but and I remember this game actually. I forgot that Magma Basin only attaches to the bench. Definitely not ideal. So we can start with the Ultra Ball, probably getting rid of both basic energy. Go ahead, put my Rayquaza down. But yeah, there is the Ultra Ball. Eventually. There it is. And we'll go get ourselves either an Arceus V or probably the Lumineon. We just have absolutely nothing going on, so we would like to have something going on. But we can Luminous Sign and go get ourselves a Research. Don't need to Iono, I'd rather save those for later anyway. And now we do have to Escape Rope in order to use Magma Basin. So hopefully we can hit a switch off of this Research, but even if we don't, Lumineon taking 110 from Cramorant isn't bad. We got our Arceus down, and next turn we have the V-Star. We won't be able to attack with Trinity Nova next turn, but we do have the Rayquaza set up. So I think we're doing okay. I also have the Cheren's Care, so if they do something like Escape Rope, I can promote Arceus, and if they hit it for 110 or for Ninja Snipe 90, I can then Cheren's Care pick the Arceus back up and go in with Radiant Heatran. So that's kind of cool. So they're just powering up their Lost Zone. Of course, usually you want to be attacking with Arceus early in the game on turn 2, but in this case, I think it's actually not necessary. We're just going against a single price deck, and Heatran is enough to put pressure on them, especially because they can only knock it out with Cramorant or Greninja. So if we take a knockout on this Cramorant, then that's interesting. I feel like I should Iono here. No reason not to, right? Get some more cards, we can evolve to the VMAX. And no need to Starbirth because there's nothing else we need this turn, so we might as well save that for later. But let's just take a prize with Heatran. And then if they take a knockout on this Heatran, we can V-Star for a Raihan, and that way we can power up Arceus this turn, Trinity Nova, and start setting up the rest of our board. But if they aren't taking a knockout on this Heatran, then I'm feeling pretty good about our chance. So it really just comes down to what they're doing this turn. One thing to keep in mind, and this is usually going to be good later in the matchup, or later in the match, is the Delphox V. Delphox has that 120 to the active, 120 to the bench snipe attack, and that's a way that we can knock out 2 Comfies or Sableyes or Cramorants, just any of these low HP Pokemon. There is almost no way that they're thinking to bench Manaphy against me. So off of this rope, I think probably just sack the 2 prizes and go into Lumineon. I really don't want my Arceus getting hit, especially because I won't be able to attack with it. So yeah, let's just let them take 2 prizes. That's okay. We are going to force them to go through the rest of our attackers anyway. So I think it's fine to let them take an early lead. It also means that future Iono is going to be a bit more effective. So they're going to Lost Mine, go ahead, set up the Arceus so that it's in Dragonite range. 40 is a weird number. I'm not sure why they put 40 there, but that's okay. We can just research this hand, I think. Yeah. And there's the Delphox, so that's something to keep in mind. I could bench it now, I could hold it for later. They don't play any sort of disruption cards except for maybe a Roxanne, so I think holding it for later is just fine with me. The one thing I would love to get in play is Charcadet and evolve that into the Armarouge, because that will just enable a lot more plays of cycling between my attackers, the Arceus, the Delphox, etc. But this Heatran's putting in work. It's taken 2 prizes already, trading 2 for 2 so far. But they can only knock it out with a Cramorant or Greninja. Seems like they going back into Sableye, which won't do them any good. They do have a big hand, but we have Iono in response, which feels good. And then I think probably on this next turn, we can either go in with the Heatran, or we can try and power up our Arceus, or rather we can attach the fighting, or the fire energy to power up Arceus, and then use Trinity Nova to power up our Delphox. And they're gonna Raihan themselves. Oh, was that a Crabominable beat? That's wild. That's fun. Okay, so I noticed I haven't seen any Lightning Energy. I haven't seen Raikou. I assume that they are playing the normal Lost Zone Turbo, but maybe not. Maybe they're just playing a like single prize focus Water Psychic. And Nest Ball for the Charcadet seems pretty good. They do have, yeah, their Clara's gone. Yeah, their Clara's gone, which means that it's going to be kind of hard for them to Sableye again this next turn. So I feel pretty safe about this Charcadet. They could always Greninja it, of course, but I'm not super concerned if they Greninja. But the one thing that I would love this turn, switch into the Arceus V-STAR. I am going to bench the Charcadet, so I think that's something I could have tried to hit before. But, well, there's our switch. That's what we wanted there. The Choice Belt isn't doing anything, but I probably could have attached that to the Rayquaza. Oh, it's just a boss pass. Oh, this is fantastic. Okay. And we still have Starbirth. So if we evolve into Armarouge, we can actually attack with Delphox this turn, take out 2 Comfies, I think. Just seals up the game. So beyond the Armarouge, we don't really need anything else. Basin, really, I don't think anything important actually at this point. We just need Armarouge. Sure, that's fine too. I guess we can attach the double turbo to the active so that we only have to Lost Zone 1 energy instead of 2. So that seems like the right play. Let's attach the spell, doesn't matter where. I would bench the Rayquaza as well. Or actually, I suppose it doesn't matter either on account of they don't play Disruption. I keep going up against Disruption decks, and I forget that Lost Zone Box is definitely not that. They're all turbo, all aggro all the time. I don't think at this point there is literally anything they can do, especially with the Armarouge set up. Yep, and there's the concession. Thanks so much for watching. It'd be a big help if you could like the video and subscribe. Just allow me to share the love of Pokemon with more people and helps with all the YouTube algorithms. But I will be uploading a lot more videos in the near future. We have a lot of decks here, a lot of viable decks in Standard right now. So there's a lot to do, a lot to see, a lot to play. But I am excited to check those out, and hopefully I will see you back at the channel soon. But thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.